The church's one foundation is Jesus Christ the Lord.
In October 1984, members of Grace Lutheran Church gathered at the construction site of their new church to ask for God's blessing. This was not the church's first location. Originally, Grace Lutheran was supposed to be located on property about a half-mile away. But there was one problem with that location.
About 2 weeks before we were getting ready to build, we had the 100-year flood, which comes about every 6 months in Tallahassee. And the water came up so far that if our building had been there, the entire bottom floor would have been flooded.
The sign says it all. The future home of American Lutheran Church was not a beautiful lakeside property, as it had been described to Pastor Eckerd. It was actually in the lake after heavy rains. So church members made the wise decision to look for higher ground. They found it on a scenic, heavily wooded hillside that, by the way, had occasional visits from a neighbor's pig. It was a sight that turned heads. On the day of the groundbreaking in 1984, Pastor Eckerd and the congregation gathered at the church's original location.
What we're standing in front of now is the original property, and for various reasons we found it better to go to another spot, and that's what we do today.
So they lifted the original white cross there, and with a police escort, they proceeded to carry it a half-mile down Miccosukee Road to their new hillside home.
We had our boys, my son included, and several other boys who are now in their mid-30s, but at that time they were 8, 9, and 10 years old, and they helped us carry the cross from the original site up to this site up Miccosukee Road. So we had the boys plant the cross exactly where the altar would be in the future.
Okay, good.
And we had a little service there as we started, and we talked about processing from that original spot to our new spot where we thought God was calling us to be instead of the middle of the lake.
Pastor Eckerd fondly recalls the procession of the White Cross on that day in October as the start of something special for members of Grace Lutheran Church and Tallahassee.
It has turned out to be a great spot for us, but we felt that was a way of making something special out of that move from one place to another, and feel like it's been a good place for us to be, that somehow God led us to this property and things worked out, and we've been very happy here. And we've been very dry, safe from the floods.
Grace Lutheran Church quickly took shape in the following months on top of that hill. Inside, workers carefully placed a new wooden cross above the altar. Outside, bulldozers churned the earth for the parking lot at the back of the property where the original White Cross found its permanent home. Then in March 1985, Reverend Bill Keither helped dedicate the new church.
From this day forward, let it be a place for the gathering of the people of God, a place for proclaiming the gospel through word and sacrament, a place for bringing life and hope to us and to this community.
Now, all those years later, you can see how that prayer at the construction site asking for God's blessing has been answered. Grace Lutheran, the church on the hill, has been blessed as a place where people find life and hope.
The first worship service we had in this congregation, I preached about a city being set on a hill and being a light to the nations. And I felt that's what we were called to do. Here we've been called to this hillside, and we are to proclaim the gospel. We're to be a ministry of word and sacrament, and to really reach out to our community and serve the community as best we can. Hallelujah.